And welcome back to Pete Dogger. And unfortunately, I had to unplug the camera to do that segment, and the battery was acting crazy. But anyway, this is what that looks like when you put it in wet, and it just it forms real nice to the inside. Once you glue it and you pin it down, all this, even right in here, is not even an issue. So this is going to get cut out. Now the next thing I got to do is come down here and build a bracing from up here to there. And in order to do that, I got to wait for that to dry, because what I'm going to be doing is, once this is all done, then I will go ahead and I'll put this out and I will cut this out, because then I will have the bracing that supports this. And there's no chance of this airframe going anywhere anyway, guys, because it's on, I'm cutting it right on one of the tines, and they're glued on every other one here. So it's secure, but that's why I am not cutting it off of that. I'm making sure. So we'll go ahead and cut these in and put these in this way. And it's like I said, this moves with absolutely no slop. These work really nice. And the actuators, funny enough, they will come out from here. They will go in the back here, and they will push on, or not. I mean, they may just go in here and push out, and they'll just be a straight shot in there. The lineal actuators I'll use, it only takes 2 inches of travel to make them work. So the smallest ones work really extremely well. And I've been finding some pretty good deals on them lately. They're not over expensive. So I'm going to get 2 3-inchers, and 2 of them are for the air brakes, 1 of them's for the canopy. And then we're going to start getting some of this wiring ironed out and everything else. Once I get done with this and I get that actually put in, I will actually go ahead and sheet the bottom of this. And it's really not that big of a deal. But it's like I said, you're going to need one full sheet, because this is actually going to wind up being the outside of the speed brake. So it takes like a bit of wood to do it. It'll take a 36-inch sheet that is actually 6 inches wide, which is what I use exclusively. And if I can't get them, I make them. And they're not tough to do. I've showed that procedure in a lot of areas. And while I was waiting for that to dry, I did a little body work up here. Got my nose looking a little better. And starting to work on the tunnel a little bit. Now, I will glass the inside of my tunnel, but I'm actually coating it with a little bit of Bondo in there just to get it completely round and smooth. And it takes a lot of freaking sanding to do it that way, but it's starting to get there. And then I'll glass the last of it, because it's not the prettiest jobs I've ever done in there. And you'll see it when you start building it. It takes a little bit of time, but you want to make sure that everything is good and seated and looks great. There's really no big and bad habits on building this airplane, guys. It's just a lot of it is taking time to make other things work for you and look better and get it. And it's like I said, I'm going to try to compete with this. You know, I may or may not place, but that's not the important thing to me. The camaraderie between the builders is worth its weight in gold. Whether or not you're there, if you can get an invite to go to Top Gun and bring an airplane, then you've arrived. And so I could tell everybody, get inspired, build something. You know, it doesn't matter what you build. The guidelines I'm giving you on this jet will work on any airplane. And this is how I build every single one of my airplanes, guys, with the exception of I've never built one like a puzzle like this before. And while we're talking about that, I just want to bring up a few things about the main thing is that I think a lot of guys kind of question their abilities sometimes, and they think they can't do that. And I'm just checking the viewer. I think we're good. I think one of the biggest things is I started building airplanes when I was 10 years old. That dust in here's killing me. And one of the biggest things was I've been bondoing. Sorry about that. I had a frog in my throat trying to do a video. One thing I tell a lot of these people, and I'm getting a lot of great feedback from all of you that have left messages and all this and are getting inspired to get out and actually build something. And, you know, my hat's off to you right there for even considering it, because, guys, everything I'm doing in here, you can buy it already done in an ARF. But you know what? You buy an ARF, you're buying the same thing that everybody else has got. I've seen so many big, beautiful dolls. I've seen so many Pappy Bellingtons. I've seen so many Flying Tigers. I've seen so many Blue Angels. I've seen all these things that come out, but I've never seen anything really... You know, the airplanes that I see are the ones that the guys actually took the time and spent a year or two to build and actually got out there and made them fly. It's so much more rewarding in every aspect. And the one thing it is that I want to bring into this, because cost-wise to build this airplane and build it the way you want to, man, dust is bad. We got a lot of fires around here too. It just, air quality sucks. I think one of the biggest things with being a builder, and the thing is the cost, because you're only limited to what your imagination is going to throw at it and what you're willing to put into it. And this is no exception. I mean, I will be detailing the hell out of this thing, but I've already got the details for it. So I can... This is what got me involved with Mears RC, was the detail sets. And guys, I got all of this. I've got everything there is. All these screws and rivet heads and all these parts in here. All these little details that go on here are awesome. All these little screws and bazillion rivets. I got a lot more over there. And all these little details like the gun ports, they're there. Everything's there. And it's really good, high quality stuff. It's Oracle. This stuff it accepts paint amazingly well. And if anybody's looked on my Facebook and looked at, actually took a look at the Spitfire, you'll see that this is what made that Spitfire look just so freaking bitchin'. I mean, everybody loved that thing, including me. And I talked about it a little bit, and it was a deal where none of it was savable. And even though the fuselage looked like it could have been repaired, there was no fixing it without it'd been just easier to start over. So that's what I did here. And the F-86, which will actually probably be just every bit as nice, if not nicer, will come out, and it'll be a great airplane. I think a lot of guys that, it's like I said, the guys that take the time to get out there and actually build it. I mean, God, there's some amazing builders out there. And I'm very proud to know a lot of them. And you know why I'm here. I need to throw a congrats to Bob Moore. If you guys haven't seen that citation he did, man, it's worth taking a look at. It's outstanding. 18-foot wingspan, came in at 53 pounds empty. It's a huge jet. It dwarfs this thing. And I mean, and he made every part. And man, that thing's just probably, if you know who Bob Moore is, he built the B-1. He's built a, good God, a 104. He's done all kinds of things. And they're all built off of models. And he's actually going to be the one making the fuel tanks. And I got the plug here too that I'm working on. And this is actually the plug. I got to finish sanding it. Bob, if you watching, I've got some, I'm mudding it. I'm using the spare Bondo from the fillers up here to get this done, and get these done and start sanding it off. And I need to build it up another inch over here. I'm gonna have 1.5 gallons worth of fuel. And for those of you that are building this airplane 4x4x9, that's what you want. And that's 1.5 gallons. That'll give you roughly 10, 11 minutes worth of flying. I'm going to be putting a 200 series turbine in here, so it's going to be about where it is. And I just, you know, it's like I said, this is what happens when I get done building and I get a part fit. It's waiting around, and I just find other things on to work on. And that's just going through and looking at things like this, going through and making sure all this stuff's all nice, sanding, tons of sanding. As you can see, I got a lot more sanding to do in here. Wiring, I mean, still got parts to finish sanding, but I need to get that trued up first. And this is actually a line that needs to be left there until we are done. And the reason for that is that blue line right here is actually the same line I used over there to measure that one to here. And so you always take your measurements from here down to here, and that'll keep everything pretty much on the up and up. Again, guys, take your time, fabricate these things, make them good. These might even get trimmed down a little bit. It's hard to say right now, but I could tell you right now, probably not. But there's ways to do these things, and it's just taking time to make sure that they're right. And before you go cutting your airframe, double check everything you're doing, because you want that to be stout. You don't want to have any chance of this thing blowing off, and it won't. But the way I built these is the way I built them, and it's just a really, to me, it's just awesome. So, and another thing is, don't throw your parts cut off. If you could save them, because guess what? This will become that top cap that goes in there because it fits. That'll be that top cap piece in there, and it'll go in at a certain angle. It's not quite a 45, but it'll be in there. And as soon as we cut this off, we can go ahead and do that. We can, and when we glue the back, this replacement sheet back into it and get that in there, the rest of this will just fall right into place. And then we just simply go through, before we put that in, we get every bit of the dimension that needs to be, we just trace this out. And that's a base for it. Still is not going to fit, and I'll tell you exactly why when we get to that point. But anyway, guys, this is 2 months worth of work at no less than 8 hours of a day, and that's every day. But then again, I'm retired, so I don't have anything else to do, and this is what I do to keep my mind from going in the gutter, and that's the way it is, you know. And I'm an A&P on top of that, so this is what we're looking at. Once we start seeing things coming out, then you start to see progress. And once that goes, then it's detail time. And in case you guys weren't wondering, this is where my servo hatch will be. Now, there will only be, it'll be a small hole here, and the arm will come out right in here. At least that's my plan. And then I'll have a 1 inch, only a 1 inch rods on this, on any of these. And so these are all things that we'll talk about later when we get ready to do this. The reason these aren't tight is they fit perfectly, but they're too long. I don't want to punch holes in the other side. So got lots of little things, details to do in here, and keep watching. And again, thanks a lot, guys. And we're going to start doing a lot of live work here, especially when it comes to stuff like this. I want you guys to see what we're doing and show you it's not so hard to do. Now, again, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the funny papers.